go through. And there's one part that from our lesson that I forgot, frankly.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, from the chords that I know that we were that he makes a change there that I'm playing something different from just a piece
Okay.
of paper that I have. So anyway, well, I'll show you.
Yeah, no,
And
I know right where I know right where you're talking about. Got it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
We'll straighten it out.
That's
Yeah, that is in great shape. Um, let me. Where are you capoed? Fifth?
fifth. Yeah.
Let me get get over the new string syndrome here. Make them all a little sharp first, and then stretch them. Then they should be good.
Uh-huh.
Should be good in a minute or two.
Well, what kind of strings do you use just for
I
interest?
use D'Addario, they're just their normal phosphor bronze ones.
Uh-huh.
Um, I, they come in a I buy 10 packs of, and they each one come, they get 10 individual things in an envelope.
Uh-huh.
So I've tried a lot of different kinds.
The lights, mediums, what are they?
I use mediums, but I generally don't recommend mediums. Um,
Because
I feel like Trump. Do as I say, not as I do.
right.
But I'll tell you why. Um, the One of the things is, if you have mediums on the guitar, you have to have it set up for mediums. Like, you can't just take a guitar that you've been playing lights on and put mediums on. It'll be impossible to play either the string. Anyway, the neck needs to be adjusted, and some other things. So you need a little bit of tweaking to change gauges. And then so all the guitars I've had we've always started with mediums, and they're not really, it's not that they're harder to play if the guitar is set up right. They're a little heavier, they're a little more resistance and stuff. They're a little harder to bend. Takes a
Yeah.
little bit more power and stuff. But what I get out of mediums is a little bit more control of dynamic range, meaning a lot of times, sometimes I want to be able to hit the strings really, really hard and not have them buzz or flap around. And other times I want to be able to play them really softly and still get good beef out of them. And so, so that's what I get with mediums, a little bit wider range of stuff. But this is more like for like concert level type stuff or things like that, if I'm recording and things, so it's the only other people that use mediums are bluegrass players that play heavy strumming, Doc Watson type stuff and things like
Yeah.
that, because the same thing, they want to be able to get a lot of volume out of the guitar.
Yeah.
But what I get out of it is just a little extra range of tones that I can overdrive medium light strings too easily with, like, I don't know, the power I guess I have in my right hand. So
Yeah.
um,
But you recommend most people play lights as
Yes,
opposed.
that's where. Oh, that was the end of that story. Right.
Yeah.
Is
Oh,
is
interesting.
don't most people don't need that extra oomph. We got
Yeah.
way bigger problems to solve first. Is kind of the
Yeah.
thing. You know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, can't actually take advantage of the
Right.
purpose, the change. It doesn't really. Yeah.
All right. One more tuning, and my first suggestion on the picking is, is every once in a while you got a little out of step here, and you found it's like once in a while you didn't keep the down up thing going. Maybe only once, even too. It wasn't, but you could feel that sometimes I went to a D chord and it's like, oh, I feel like I'm in the wrong place. Like it's like I had to
Yeah.
change my hand or something. But I know you're working on that, and that's so. The big suggestion with this now is you're doing a good job of hitting individual strings within the scope of the down up thing. And it would be okay now to expand that a little bit to where you're not as concerned about hitting exactly only one string, but you're getting a couple of strings in the neighborhood. So you get a little bit more of a strumming sound rather than this. If that's kind of the pattern I want to hear, as far as like the downs and the ups, right there I hit every string exactly individually, right?
Right.
And
Right.
now a little bit, so like a little bit more of a brushing motion in there.
Yeah.
It softens it up quite a bit, so that you don't hear the rough attack of every individual note. Now,
Okay.
I don't remember. I'd have to go back and look at Seth's thing again to see what whether he does the more specific one string at a time or a little bit more broader brushing type thing in there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he does actually.
That it's individual.
Yeah. You look at it. If you go
Okay.
ahead, look at it. Take a
Yeah.
look at it. Yeah. That's my reference point. So.
Right.
He does it quite a bit more rapidly than I'm doing it. But
Right. Right. So that's the pattern he's doing right there. He actually never gets to the high string, right? It's so slowly, I'll give you a better view of my guitar here. After the hammer on, it's just the three middle strings, the three open strings on the G chord. So it'd be,
Right.
you do the hammer on, then down on the D, up
Right.
on the G, missing the next down, and then up on the B, down on the G, up on the D.
Okay.
Does that sound right to you?
Yeah.
I mean, like what I think we just heard him do. Let me listen one more time. Oh, now sometime what he did right there one time was made it a little more difficult because so we're doing two ups in a row. We're missing the down on beat 3 is what I was just the way I was explaining it, right? So
Right.
I was saying do this. Right there, the one measure I heard, he came back on that beat 3 and hit the bass note again. No, wait. So he's just keeping his hand ripping along. I mean, it's moving really fast. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
He's very accomplished at this. So let's establish that first.
Yeah.
But you're right. He's not doing the brushing than I'm talking. See, that's a little bit more the brushy attack that I was talking about. But he's definitely not doing that. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
let me watch a little further now too.
When I woke up this morning, things were looking.
Oh, so maybe we didn't talk about this. When he goes to the D chord right there, when I woke up this morning, he plays an F sharp in the bass on that D chord.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we hear the bass descending and then going up to the C in the bass. So we hear the bass go from G to F sharp
Yeah.
on the D chord, and there's a couple ways. I think we've talked a little bit about this. But,
Yeah. You can.
yeah, that'd be a time to use your thumb. He doesn't use his thumb for it. He goes for it with fingers, because he's also not worried about playing a note on the first string. He's not going to hit the first string at all.
Uh-huh.
So he goes to this chord and only plays it with 3 fingers, with his first finger on the F sharp,
Yeah.
and his second and third fingers, where they would normally go for a D chord on the second and third strings. Now, this is a really useful chord, but I wouldn't play it that way. I'd play it with my second finger on the bass note. Second, third, and fourth. Yeah. Have we done this before, or have you played that? Have you ever done that?
I don't know if I have.
Okay. So this is a common way to play D with F sharp in the bass.
Okay.
With the kind of caveat that we're not going to hit the first string because we've left it open.
Yeah.
Okay. And even if you're strumming this and you can, it's easy enough to kill the first string with your little finger if you want to as well, just by having it on at a slightly weird angle and intentionally kill the first string so that you could strum it. And as a matter of fact, that F sharp in the bass should be killing the 5th string as well. So what I've got right here is I've only got 4 strings that even sound. When I strum it, you're hearing this. Yeah. So you're hearing a clean bass note here, dead here, a clean D here, clean, and then dead here. So my left hand is, playing these 4 notes but killing 2 of them.
Right. Okay.
Now, and the reason I like this fingering for this rather than what he did with his first finger, first of all, he's also playing his G like this, right, with his second finger.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I don't recommend that either. It's like this other G is much more universal. And now there are times you do want to do it this way, only if it's because you've got both of these notes on the 3rd fret on the high, So that tends. I almost like to call that a different G. I would call it like a G5 because we've lost the only B in this chord. The open B string is the 3rd of our chord, right? So if I change it to a D, the only other B I had was the B in the bass, and actually I don't want to hear that B in the bass. It's like it makes it too muddy to have both of these notes in a G chord. And so a lot of times if I would play it like this, I wouldn't even play the 5th string. I would do the same thing. I would kill it with my second finger.
Okay.
And so now we don't have a B at all in this chord, and so it's kind of a hollow. It's not even really technically. A chord is 3 notes. This is not a chord. It's only 2 notes. Okay, it's just G's. It's just roots and fifths, which are also called power chords sometimes. And so in rock and roll stuff, you'll play a bunch of songs where you just play this configuration of notes: a root and a fifth. Or examples of power chord songs, and so they just slide all up and down the neck, and it's a really common thing that rock and roll guitar players have been doing since the early 60s. The Kinks were one of the bands that kind of started this with really silly songs like and then just laying out little riffs in a 12-bar blues kind of format. But so anyway, back to my G lecture here is, I would play the G the normal way you do, and then go to the D with F sharp in the bass with the same 3 fingers.
Yeah.
Your second finger to the F sharp.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're 1 fret too high.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, and the other reason for using these fingers is when I play it like this, it's a D chord. But it's really common to do this with it and have it be D7 by having your first finger on the 1st fret of the 2nd string instead. Yeah, and your little finger off. Right. Okay, so this is another common variation of that chord that would make it a 7th chord.
Okay.
So that's why I like that fingering with your second finger on the F sharp.
Okay.
Okay.
And okay, that'll be an interesting.
Yeah, so now you got a new project.
Yeah, that's definitely a project. Yeah, I gotta.
He says, "Wait, you told me this was a simple song, and now we've turned it into."
Yeah, but at some point he's also playing something.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
right?
And yeah. And that's what chord do you think it is that he goes up there to? Or when does it happen? Where would he be in the song? What have you been doing when he does that? Can you
Let's-
picture it?
well, there's those little third and fourth beat
Yes. It's a quick
where the
change.
measure is the two beat, then 3/4, dun 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 dun.
Right. Okay. I'll watch him again in just a second, but this is a good time to give you the story on that chord because we've just been talking about a new way, relatively new way to play D and D7.
Right, right.
This is what he's doing up the neck is he's playing another version of a D7 chord.
Okay.
And it's out of the normally when we move things around on the neck, we're dealing with the movable bar chord families E and A, right? And there are a couple of other really specific occasions that different families can be moved up the neck. And this is one where we use a C shape
Yeah.
and move it up.
Okay.
So we slide it up 2 frets
Right.
to D, except, well, and I'll have to check and see what he's doing. We make it a 7th chord as well. So we use a C7 shape just up a whole step to be our D7.
Okay. Well,
And
so
so when you see, and this is usually coming from a C chord. He hasn't been going there. I think when he does it, it's because he's already been on C, and then he slides it up and adds his little finger to make it a D7 out of the C family.
okay.
Does that make sense?
Theoretically, it does. Yeah.
Okay, let me go back and see when he does this. Oh, now he's
Seemed
playing.
like total silence was the only friend.
There it is. Ah, okay. So now he is playing the G chord. So he varies how he plays his G chord. Let me go back to the beginning. I have a feeling. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. He plays the G like this when he's going to do the hammer on. Because it's easier for him to hammer on with this finger.
Okay.
When he's not doing the hammer on, he plays the G like this.
Okay.
So, because it is harder to hammer on your third finger than your
Yeah.
second. Your second's much more powerful and stuff than your
Yep.
third. You know.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
anyway, so he's got a few little variations in it. Now, with players of his caliber, this is completely like sub or unconscious.
Yeah.
It's like he's not thinking how I can't that hammer-on's uncomfortable like this. That doesn't even cross his mind. It's like he's going to do a hammer-on, so he just grabs it that way. But then when he comes, especially when he comes from a C chord, because he plays all of his C's with both bass notes, with a G in the bass, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so especially when he's coming from there back to G, he's going to leave this finger right here and play the G, the way, yeah.
Yeah.
So he does play his C's and G's a couple of different ways. I mean, the G's a couple of different ways, depending on what's going on. So the measure that we just talked about, though, yeah, he did go up to that D7 just before the C. I went back to the beginning, but let me get back to it.
Friend I had.
Ah, there it was.
Seemed like total silence was the only friend I had.
So what he did there was, seemed like total silence. Seemed like total silence. That was a C to a G, right? Seems like total silence. And then he went to the D7. Was the only friend I had. So he went up to the D7. This is before the quick change on only friend. It's a quick D7 to C. Only friend I had. I'll do that slower. So he's singing. Seemed like total silence was the only friend I had.
Okay.
Don't worry, I'm recording this already too, so you can digest that a few more times.
Yeah. Okay.
But so try that once.
Okay. So we're going to
we're
go
on the
from.
C. Seemed like total silence.
Okay. So. And then
Right.
we're going to here,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Here.
And that's it. You only have 2 beats of this chord, and then slide it down to C. Yeah, and you only have 2 beats of that too, and then right back to the G. Right.
Oh, okay, so huh. Okay, yeah, the timing here, I'm not.
You know what? So because this changes so fast, we don't really have time to pick out a lot of notes. What I would just do here is hit the bass note and a strum down, so that we hear the sound of the chord rather than just a couple of notes.
Okay.
So, seemed like total silence was the only friend I had. See what I did there? Kind of, and it's so, and it's even okay on this D7 chord to include the first string, especially if your capo is falling off and it's killing it. But nah, we don't want to hear that E. So, but so yeah, just kind of a bass and a.
Okay. That this finger
Right.
believes I'm going to D here, so
Right. So you gotta have C on the brain. This is a C.
yeah, I gotta have C on the
chord.
brain here.
Just get it at the wrong fret.
Yeah, so I have to, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Except make sure to get rid of the C. Right. Got to make sure when you go to the C that you get your little finger out of there.
Okay.
Because we can't have a C7 right there.
Okay, but that's when I'm doing that, D, let's see, I'm going to D, but D is the first beat of that, D7 is the first beat of that measure, right? It's
Right.
the first two.
Right. 2 beats of the D7. And that's it. That's your 2 beats right there. You had time to
Yeah,
get a bass note and strum it. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, that'll okay.
Oh, so the first thing you're going to do is hit a bass note there. So get that bass note on and hit it while you're assembling the rest of the chord.
Right.
You're thinking too far ahead. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, I see. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, hit the bass note first, just
So
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, when I okay, so that's one, two, three, four.
No,
No?
it's still 2 beats of C. You're thinking of a different spot in the song where we have that 1 beat change. It's not here.
Oh, okay.
So you do
So
the exact same thing on the C as you did on the D7, a bass and a strum.
Okay, okay, so it's going to go.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I got the timing wrong in my mind here.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, all right, okay. I see the okay. So that's D7.
Right.
Make a. If I write that down there, I'll remember to do that. Okay, D7. So after, well, when he comes back, okay, seemed like total silence was the only D7, C. I had G.
Right.
Then we
Had G
get
is on
to-
had.
Then we come back to D for a bowl of oatmeal. Are we back to this D?
Let me watch. Let me see.
A bowl of oatmeal
He's playing a D7 there, a regular D7 though. I mean the one, your normal D7, the one at the
Here.
yeah.
Oh.
dead. I think your finger might be a little over the fret, or somehow you're killing that note a little bit. There, try that. Yeah, yeah,
Does that sound right?
yeah. What's happened? We don't hear his that. So C is the note in there that makes it a D7 chord, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We don't hear it that distinctly when he picks through this, and it goes by fast. Like when you played it right there, you played that C really crisply and cleanly. Well, after you got it, after you got it clean, and then
Yeah.
and it doesn't come out that obvious when he does it. Let me listen. Let me watch again. Back it up a hair here.
A bowl of oatmeal tried to stare me down.
Yeah. So what he just did there was he came out of this right. Was the only friend I had. A bowl of oatmeal tried to stare me. See, like you barely heard it there, but I played D7, But it was now I'll do it a little bit more distinctly. I come out of this was the only friend I had. A bowl of oatmeal tried to stare me down, and one. And that's
Okay, those are one beat change.
that's the one beat change is after this bowl of oatmeal line.
Okay.
And one. And it was 12 o'clock before I realized I was having no fun.
Okay, and that line was exactly the same. The D7, right? It was 12 o'clock and I'm having no fun. Whatever the words there were. But
Yeah.
and so the way he does pick that D7, we don't hear the C until late. Slowly, what he did was this. So we hear he got to the high note. And that continued to ring. We didn't hear the C till later. So if I do that slowly, it's this. If I do it quickly, like again the way he just did, we hear this. Having. So see, the D7, that note didn't jump out as clearly as it did when you just picked it the way you did a second ago,
Okay.
So he does blur through it pretty quickly, and he is playing it very fast, as we've already ascertained. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see what else happens now.
But fortunately,
And that's a D7 as well. So I haven't seen him play a regular D yet. I mean, so right there on that, fortunately, yeah. I have the key. Right. Let me watch what he does now.
I have the key to escape reality.
That's also where he slid up the neck to the D7 in the C shape. To escape reality. Yeah. D, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Now, all of these D7s are really interchangeable. Like we don't have to go to the trouble, and I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't do it the same way in every verse. Where when he chooses this one or when he chooses this one, because they have the same function.
Yeah. Okay.
Let me see what happens next.
This is.
And you may see me tonight with an illegal.
Yeah, good. Okay. So the other thing, well, before I go on to what's going on right here, everything we talked about so far relatively clear, you think?
Yep.
Or at least clear enough to.
Yeah. No. I can work through all that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So when he goes into the 3/4 thing, you got the hang of this already. I mean, he plays a little walk up to the C.
Yep.
And the one thing that would help make this sound a lot smoother when you play it is get a little bit of an up after the last down, so that's not just.
Okay.
So that's kind of clunky, and we just want a little gentle shadow of an up. So very softly, and so it's really more percussive than anything else.
Okay.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. So that second G was exactly what I was talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, and let's see what he does there, whether he goes to a D or a D7.
It don't cost very
Now right there he's going to the one up the neck.
Okay.
much, but it lasts a long while. Won't you please tell the man I didn't kill anyone? No, I'm just trying
Up the neck
to
again.
have me some fun.
Right, and right there, he switched back into this G because he was going to do the hammer on again. You know,
Okay.
so
Okay. Okay. Okay.
yeah. So I think that's the big things I wanted to talk about on that one. As far as the getting in that 3/4 strum, just make sure it'll sound it'll smooth it out a lot by having just a little shadow of an up at the end. Bass down down up, bass
Okay.
down down, and that up really small too, like maybe just a string or two. You don't want to make a big deal of it like it draws too much attention to it. It's got to be just way in the background. Oh, on the C's, when he's got the C for 2 measures,
Yeah.
he does alternate the bass from C down to G, but that's because he's playing the C like this. You know?
Right.
And so he's got both of them on there. This would be another new trick for you to work on, because what I would usually do here is not play it that way. I would move my third finger from one bass note to the next when I want to alternate bass notes on a C chord.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is another really useful tool and trick that is going to come in handy in all kinds of stuff. It may be quite a ways down the road where we do this, but so this is what I'd recommend working on here: hitting this bass note and then moving your third finger. Plus, now it's in the right. Well, either way, it's going to be the next chord is G, and that finger's already there now, anyhow. But
Yeah.
but the main reason I would recommend less of this and more of moving this finger is for when we get into more advanced like finger picking songs. You're going to be playing C chords a lot, and you're going to be moving this. You might want to alternate the bass, but you're going to need this finger to play some melody notes up here at the same time.
Okay.
So if we ever get around to playing stuff like so right there, I had to use my finger. I was playing that. Now that's a relatively advanced one because the independent motion of moving this finger back and forth while this one's playing melody notes at the same time is can send your head spinning at times. You know. So
Right.
but just building good techniques for the future is kind of what we're
Okay.
doing.
When you move up and hit the bass on a C at G here,
Mhm.
are you killing that? Are you keeping it in the chord? What are you doing?
You're killing it with your left hand, but you shouldn't even be playing it. It shouldn't come out at all, because something I didn't mention a second ago is that when you're playing bass notes and strumming, I might have mentioned this in something else we were talking about recently, but when you're playing bass notes and strumming in between them like this, you don't want the bass note to be part of the strum. You want the strum to only be the higher string. So like on all the strums, you aim for the top 3 strings. You're right. You aim for 3 strings on a strum. If you get the 4th, no problem. But you don't want to get the 5th again. You don't want to blur that bass note. So when I'm doing this, you should hear this as like an independent thing. Almost sounds like it's the bass player. So if I do that in strum, hear how those bass notes just keep ringing and whereas if I don't do that, if I do this, it's too muddy, you know?
Yeah.
So it's almost like we're trying to hear a little stereo separation of the bass notes over here and the strumming over here.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I see. All right. Okay. And then the timing of the last line in the chorus there.
Okay.
Just trying to have me some fun. That's when he just goes to the C G.
Right. So what beat does that C happen on?
Okay, just trying to have me some fun.
Actually, explain that line to me first. Starting right there, how many beats or how many measures do we have of each chord?
Okay, on D and C we have 4.
Well, don't forget we're in 3/4 time.
Oh, I'm sorry, we have 3. Yeah.
But but it's a full measure. That's the important thing. Is it's a full measure of D and a full measure of
Full
C.
measure of C, and then on G, just have me some fun. We have 2.
Okay. And then
Okay.
what happens?
Then the C, G, C,
So
G.
what beat does that C happen on?
Feels like it happens on three of that measure.
Right. And the next measure is the exact same thing. It's two beats of G and a beat of C. So if you were to do a bunch of those, which you did when you played this, you did this
Ah,
exactly right.
yeah,
Okay.
I see it. Okay,
Okay.
I see it.
Yeah. So see that
Okay.
C is not a new measure. It's the third beat of the G measure.
Aha. Okay.
Okay. And so that goes on. That could go on 5 or 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And after a couple of them, he just hits the C and stops and lets everything grind to a halt. The metronome stops now
Right.
because he's got to change back to 4/4 times. So he just puts in a big pause and then kicks right back in with, you know,
Ah, okay.
and switches the thing. So when we have time signature changes like that, it's sometimes it's kind of awkward, but both of these are pretty smooth. This one's smoothed out by just putting in a long break. You know, he could start at any time.
Yeah.
It'd be a little, even if he was doing this with the band or his other musicians and stuff, they would all know that they come to rest on that C chord, and then we wait for Seth to start this. Now we all pick it up with him. You know, it's like he could nod to everybody, and it's like, I mean, everybody could come back in together with a visual cue, but he's playing this by himself, so he can do whatever he wants. But
Right. Right.
so now the first transition, right, was right. The whole first transition, the metronome grinds to a halt as well. As soon as he sings, "Fortunately," he can hold that for as long as he wants. And then, "I have the key to escape reality." And there's the same kind of thing. There's a drawn out time where the beats are totally flexible. He can do whatever he wants. You know? And
Yeah.
then he kicks in with the 3/4. You know? So yeah, both transitions are in the hands of the performer. You know, you can do it. You can really do
Right.
it lots of different ways.
But in the case of coming out of the chorus, you have the GC, 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 which are all 2/1, 2/1, 2/1.
Right. So the C is always the
Then
last. Good.
then the transition, then the pause while
Yeah.
the metronome resets,
And
and
that's on a C, right? So he hits the C.
yeah,
Yeah. And now it's like we reset the metronome. And we just kind of do that internally. You know, it's like, okay, I just got to feel the next beat, and now I pick it up because the beats are going much faster in the 4/4 section than they are in the 3/4 section.
yeah. Okay. We got lots to go on here.
Yeah, yeah.
Lots to go on. Okay, fun. Um, the Okay, so I will work through all of that. Again, I'm gonna have to watch this because the timing part of this is really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the D7, which D7 goes where, I guess, is the other thing that I'm gonna have to work my way through.
Yeah, and again, like I said, they're completely interchangeable. You know,
Yeah,
and we don't have to get them exactly where he did in every verse. There's a good chance that he put them at the same way in every verse because he's probably just doing it unconsciously too. You know, and so he's just got this habit of going up the neck frequently to the D7 rather than the open D7.
okay.
But yeah,
But
you'd be comfortable with both of them.
so it's a matter in terms of which one. It's a matter of which one fits into the fingering flow. The D7 sonically are
Yes.
they equivalent?
Yeah, so actually, I bet he never goes to this one when he sings the "Fortunately" line because he wants to hear this note on the top of this D7 chord that we have in this D7. So these are different. These are what we call different voicings of the chord. The voicing means the exact arrangement of the notes that make up the chord, right?
Right.
And like today we talked about a different voicing for our D chord, the D with the F sharp in the bass.
Right.
You know, and so so what usually distinguishes one voicing from another is the extreme notes, meaning the bass note and the highest note you're hearing are the main things that would make a difference. So like when you play D with F sharp in the bass, it sounds like a completely different chord than D because of that low bass note.
Yeah.
And then when I play the D7 up here, let me digress for just a second. A normal D chord is this, and when I play D7, I have to sacrifice this D to get the C back here, right?
Yep.
But that keeps the same highest note on the you know in the arrangement of the notes. The F sharp is still the highest note.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, and I don't have the D and the C. I have just C now, not D, in the middle of the chord.
Yep.
When I play it up here, the D is now the highest note. I'm not hearing the F sharp in this chord.
Right.
Okay? And I've got the C right next to it on the string below. So
Yeah.
now I'm hearing these two notes together.
Yeah.
Okay, that's how chopstick starts. Anyway. Anyway, but so that's the voicing that we get by using this C chord, C shape.
Yeah.
Has the extra clash of the D and the C right next to each other on the second and third strings. If you see, just play the second and third strings together. Yeah. Okay. That tension and dissonance caused by those notes just being a step apart does not exist in this D7 chord.
Okay.
Okay. So that's what I mean. Different voicings have different characteristics, kind of.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So. Okay. Okay. There's a lot to work through there. Is there a? I'm just thinking one step ahead here.
Okay.
Something similar is the wrong word, but something. Another song to think about. That.
Yes, similar to this, like maybe another John Prine song or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody asked me about his song "Souvenirs," and I was thinking about doing a lesson on that actually in the next week or so. One of his really early ones. Do you remember the song, or do you know?
No, I don't. I don't
yeah.
actually. No.
Let me see it. Okay, so that's a typical finger picking song of his, and John, that's how he does most of his songs, and his finger picking style is really basic. He only uses the thumb and one finger for everything, but he does usually keep an alternating bass going back and forth. You know, and the last couple finger pickings, well, like "Helplessly Hoping" does that too, right? And
Right.
And what was the other one we looked at recently? Another finger picking one.
That does just one. Well, Sounds of Silence is.
Oh yeah, no, that's kind of different because that doesn't have an alternating bass. It's
No, it just
basically you're playing a little melody with the bass.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Did we look at Scarborough Fair, or have you ever tried that?
No. No.
It's also capoed way the heck up the neck. I think even at the 7th fret while we're in capoed songs.
Yeah.
But it's a different style of finger picking song because it's a little bit more like Vincent, like a little more free form in spots. But the introduction is beautiful. Wait a minute. So it's a little 6-note pattern with your right hand that has your thumb playing notes on the first and fourth of the 6 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then it opens, there's a short little intro that goes. And then the singing starts. And they kind of keep that going. So if you'd be interested, that might be a fun one to try next too. And you could even print up the tab and take a look at it, and it shouldn't look too scary.
Okay, I'll dig that out.
Yeah.
I will. Okay, so Scarborough Fair. All right. Just let's see. 2 things.
Okay.
One, I think I need to